Hi, welcome back to EE674, right? So far we have discussed the combined model of the generator, turbine, and the governor, which is applying power to the load, right? So this block diagram we have derived indicate the how the generator frequency or the generator speed will vary depending on the load changes. So when we have the set the reference point, right? So if the power generation varies from this reference point, so what will happen to the speed? Okay, and so with that we will discuss the control strategy called the automatic generation control. Okay, so here what we are talking about is, okay, when uh, uh, when there is the load change in the system. Let's say, for an example, if the load increases, you will see that the frequency or the speed of the generator will go down, right? So that will reflect in the generated or the power output of the to the governor, right? So that means what you call the energy source that is going into the governor, right? So you can see when the frequency or the speed drops here, if you keep the reference at a constant, right? So this entire thing will be the larger, that means delta Pg will increase, right? So which increasing the supply to the governor. So if it's a steam turbine, it will increasing the amount of steam going into the turbine, right? By changing the valve position, right? So okay, so then what will happen is when you have when you increases there is the change in the active power demand, right? So if there's an increase in the active power demand, so there will the speed of the generator, we are looking at a single generator connected to the load here, the speed of the generator goes down, right? And then the governor mechanism kicks in, right, trying to compensate. So it basically increases the amount of, or it opens the valve and increase the amount of the mechanical power going into the generator, right, and bringing down this difference between the mechanical power and the load, right? So then what will happen is the difference will go down, right? So then again when it goes down, the speed will increase and it try to comes back to the nominal value, right? So but however, there will be a small offset from the set speed, right, of the governor, and this is unavoidable, and so you need a proper control action to reach the desired value. So if you have this control implemented, there will be a unavoidable offset, right? It will not come back to omega 0, right? So in order to correct that, you need another part added to this control. Okay, so let's see what we need. So which is so this part is called the supplementary control loop. Okay, so this is a one way to resolve the speed or the frequency, the problem that we have seen earlier. Okay, so we can bring it back to its the nominal value, right? So basically what you can do here is you can simply add an integrator to the loop, right? So we had this part as our the control loop earlier, the control system earlier. Now we are adding the integrator here, ki over s, right, which is the transfer function is ki over s, and that is used to create the reference from the speed signal, right, of the generator, right. Okay, so what will happen here is this integrator unit will monitor the average error over the time, right, and then it will try to overcome the offset. Okay, and so this integrator action is also known as the reset action, because it's being back the speed back to the nominal speed, overcoming this offset issue, right. So this control loop, or this part that added for this purpose, is called the supplementary control, right. So so when you add this supplementary control, right, as the system load changes continuously, the generator is adjusted automatically to the in order to restore the frequency to the nominal value, right, with the supplementary control. So this entire scheme with the supplementary control is known as the automatic generation control, right. Okay. Right, so let's take a look at the automatic generation control for an isolated power system. Okay, so that means you have a single generator connected to the load. Okay, so you can simplify this control loop, keeping the load change as the input and the generator speed as the output, as we discussed in the previous section. But now you are adding the this supplementary control part, or the integrator, also into the picture, right. So this this block diagram shows how the generator output, generator speed will vary when there is a load change in the power system. Okay, or load changes that is connected to the generator. Okay, so if you take the typical power system, it associated with the many control schemes. Okay, so for an example, right, so you have okay, there are various control schemes like the system generation control, load frequency control, with economic allocation. Okay, so this generation control take the frequency measurements and the generator power measurements, and also if there are tie lines, that means there are the lines between different parts of the power systems, those are called the tie lines. Okay, and the power flow in these tie lines are also measured, right. And then so it sent the this information to the generating unit control, right, which controls which we have seen earlier, right, which include the prime mover, generator, and the excitation system control. Okay, and there are other generating units and the associated control in the power system. So this is a single generating unit, right. So there could be many such generating unit performing the automatic generation control, right. And so all those the control will eventually seen by the transmission line. So you need, sometimes you need to control the transmission, the power flow and etc. So there will be a transmission control as well, right? So for an example, the reactive power control and the voltage control, right? And if you have HVDC transmission, and there will be an associate control for that as well, right? So there are a lot of controls happening in the power system. Okay, so we have taken a single generator as an example, a single synchronous generator connected to the load, right? And we have derived the the control block diagram for that. Okay, the next we will look at the what will happen when we have multiple such generating units, right? So for easy explanation, we will take two such generation unit and we will explain their behavior, and then once they are connected through the tie lines, what will happen to the tie line and so on, right? But before going to that, I will give you a simple question for you to try. Okay, so let's say you have a small system consist of four identical 500 MVA generating units, right? Feeding the total load of 1020 megawatt, right? The inertia constant of each unit H is 0.5 on 500 MVA base. Okay, and the load varies by 1.5% for a 1% change in the frequency. Okay, and when there is a small sudden drop in the load by 20 megawatt, okay, you need to determine the system block diagram with the constant H and D expressed on the 2000 MVA base. Okay, and then find the frequency deviation, assuming that there is no speed governing action, right? So there is no speed governing action. So this is a very simplified the model, right? So there is no speed governing action. So you need to find this. Okay, so I will leave that for you to try. Okay, and with that I will stop this part, which is the automatic generation control, and in the next section we will look at the automatic generation control, or when we have a multiple generator units.